to the Burke County Board of Commissioners regular meeting for Tuesday, August 15th, held here in Chambers, 2023 at 6 p.m. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out and braving the heat index. It's a little warm out there. Kay did turn the AC down tonight, so hopefully everybody is comfortable. I would remind everyone to please silence your mobile devices because I forget to do so myself sometimes. Madam Clerk, I would like to say that Commissioner Burns is in attendance, Vice Chair Britton, Commissioner Carswell. Commissioner Smith was unable to attend due to a business obligation tonight. Our county finance officer is in attendance, our county attorney, and our county manager, Matt. I would remind everyone, if you are here to speak tonight, please, when you approach the lectern, please push the button so the red is showing so that we can hear you and everyone else can hear you, and those included on YouTube, please. This time, our first order of business, I'll now ask our good friend, Pastor David Bridges. I joked with him earlier that we may have to put him on the payroll because he does this so often. So we want to thank him in advance for that. He will lead us in the invocation, and I'll ask you to please remain standing while Mr. Simpson, our county attorney, will lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray. Lord, we thank you and praise you for this beautiful day that you've blessed us with. Thank you for your mercies that are made new every single morning for us, dear God. Praise you and thank you for everyone that's in this room that cares so deeply for our community and our county. Pray that you would bless them in their endeavors, God. I pray that you would bless this meeting tonight. Lord, that you would guard our ears, our minds, and our hearts to your word, to your will, God. I pray that in all things, everything that is said, everything that is done, Lord, that we would bring you glory in it all. For we ask all of these things in your most high and wonderful name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen.
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Gentlemen, our first item of business is approval of agenda. The agenda was submitted previously. You should have had a time to review that. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Thank you, Commissioner Burns. All those in favor of the motion signify with uplifted hand. Madam Clerk, that is 4-0. Next item, item number 5, approval of meeting minutes. This is for December 5th, 2022. Board of Commissioners special meeting, and December 20th, 2022, Board of Commissioners regular meeting. Gentlemen, you've had an opportunity to review those. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the minutes from December the 5th and December the 20th.
Thank you, Commissioner Carswell. All those in favor of the motion signify with uplifted hand. Madam Clerk, that motion carries 4-0. That brings us to presentations, and this is always our favorite one of the night. Our Animal Services Pet of the Month. This will be presented by Caitlin Settlemeyer, our Animal Services Director. And Caitlin, who do we have here tonight?
I'm going to try to make it up there. We have Mr. Dante. He's about a 4-month-old puppy, so he's learning the ropes of the world. You want to stay right here with this lady? We'll take it home. Come on, Dante. Let's go talk about it. I had to bring his toy. He normally carries this around with him. It's the size of him. So this is Dante. Look at him. There he is with his toy. I'm sorry, he's about 5 months old. You've grown. He has been with us about 2 months. He is absolutely precious. As we know, the shelter is no life for a puppy to have to grow up with, so he's definitely looking for a place to crash very, very soon. He's going to be a bigger dog. Look at his feet. So we do expect him to grow quite a bit, but he is neutered and he's ready to go. He loves other dogs and would really benefit from a family who has a little bit of time to spend with him and dedicate to some training. So this is Dante. We're open till 7. If anybody wants to adopt him, his adoption fee is $40. We currently have, I think, 27 dogs. We had one getting adopted as I left, so 27 dogs at the shelter right now, which is quite a bit. He's sharing a kennel with his 3 brothers. As always, we never want to leave out our kitty cats in our presentation. So on our next slide, This is Karen, and we call her the American Curl of Conley Springs. If anybody knows cat breeds, there is a breed of cat called the American Curl, and their ears actually flip back. So I don't know I don't think that's what Karen is. I think she just has a little deformity. But if anything, we are giving her that dignity, and she is from Conley Springs. So Karen is absolutely wonderful. She doesn't love to be held. So if you're looking for a cat that just kind of wants to mind her business and hang out with you, she'd be a perfect addition to your family. A few announcements that we have some events coming up. We are hosting a softball fundraiser. It's going to be a lot of fun. This is going to be through our Animal Services Foundation. And we will be accepting teams in the near future for that, but we are currently accepting some sponsorships. So we are accepting private and business sponsorships for this event. And I can get you more information if anybody wants to reach out to me about that. And on our next slide, we are having an adoption event. This is the first Sunday of every month. We'll be at Hillman Beer from 12 to 3. If you guys want to come out, hang out, learn about what we do, we're happy to talk to you. It's a fun time for all. You get to hang out with our dogs. And as always, we do have some information. We're always looking for adopters and fosters to come and benefit from taking an animal to your home. They bring us such joy. That is our address and our phone number and our email address, so please reach out to us. We'd love to see you down there at Animal Services.
Thank you, Caitlin. Gentlemen, comments? As usual, we'd like to thank you and the staff for all you do, and Kay as well for the Animal Services Foundation. They've been great. I know y'all were doing monthly meetings or events, I should say, at Hillman's, and Laura and I went this past Sunday, so it's a great time. So I would encourage folks to go. So thank you so much, and I would also like to recognize Dante and Karen as Pets of the Month, and I'd encourage everyone to foster or adopt, and then I would also encourage you to spay or neuter your pets. So great presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
That'll bring us to item number 2 on our presentations, 4-H, recognition of state 4-H winners. This will be presented by Nikki Carpenter, our cooperative extension agent in 4-H youth development. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you guys? Thank you for having us. So July was a busy month for 4-H, and to start off, we had several of our youth travel to Raleigh the early part of July to the North Carolina 4-H Horse Show, and we are pleased to announce that one of the girls, she couldn't be here tonight, but her trainer is here, Lily Drake. She was named Senior Ranch Champion, and she won the Senior Sportsmanship Award. She also won Western into High Ride. James, you might have to help me with all the terms on that, but she won several categories while she was there. She is also an aging out 4-Her. So we're very proud of all that she had done. And she had her horse, Elsie Gin and Tonic. We also have a 4-Her here with us tonight that was named Ellie Hudson, and she won the Little Britches State Champion on her horse, She's Got Cold Feet. In addition to our horse show, we also had several statewide 4-H events, one being the 4-H State Electric Congress held in July, and one of our Burke County 4-Hers walked away with top honors there. Jacob Hanlon won overall state senior electric portfolio and first place in the Duke Energy Carolinas Territorial Achievement Award. Also, we had 7 Burke County 4-Hers attend State 4-H Congress in Raleigh, also in July. And the youth competed in presentations, public speaking contest, and Jacob Hanlon won our communication arts with his photography presentation, second in the state. He also was recognized as Emerald Level Ambassador and elected by his peers as the 2023-2024 State 4-H Reporter, and was also inducted to the North Carolina 4-H Honor Club, which is the highest 4-H honor you can receive. So I have 2 of those 4-Hers here tonight that I would like for you to meet. Ellie Hudson and Jacob Hanlon.
I'll have Vice Chair Britton also do a little presentation as well, and then we'll come down. But if y'all would like to speak beforehand, Ma-
Thank you.
Okay. And if not, that's fine as well.
I
So,
said no, thank you. Lily is absent this evening. She had a prior commitment, but if we can, I would like to have her trainer, James Lamb, accept the award for her.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Would y'all like maybe go down there?
Anybody else would like to come out front, take a picture? I'm overwhelmed. So once again, we'd like to congratulate Lily Drake, Eli Hudson, and Jacob Hanlon on their outstanding achievements, and congratulations once again.
Mr. Chairman, before these people leave, I'd like to say one thing about 4-H. Nikki and her crew, there's a lot of them over there. We don't give you the recognition that's truly deserved for what 4-H does for us. One of the highlights of my year is when I get to come over to 4-H and see the kids, do the things that they do, and it's a phenomenal program that y'all have over there. And I just wish people would get a little bit more adapt to what's happening. But you guys just don't know how proud I am of y'all and what you do. Parents, thank you so very much. It takes a lot of time to take these children over there and put them in this program. But again, for our staff over there, thank you. Thank you so very much.
All right, gentlemen, that'll bring us to item number 3, recognition of employee certification, presented by Stephanie Norman, our good friend from the Register of Deeds. Good evening. You got it? Nope, one more. Perfect.
Good evening. I come before you this evening to recognize one of my staff being certified by the North Carolina Association of Register of Deeds. If you remember last time, I set a goal for the staff in my office to become certified so that they would be the most qualified at their job as they could be. 3 of my staff have already become certified, and now a 4th has earned her certification. To be certified as an assistant or deputy register of deeds, one has to be in the office at least 1 year before applying to be certified. They must attend the basic school for register of deeds at the UNC School of Government and pass an examination with a score of 70% or higher, plus complete at least 50 hours of approved instruction within 5 years of the date of application, and or work 4 consecutive years as a full-time assistant deputy or register of deeds. Again, this may sound easy enough, but it's a rather robust process. For instance, an approved North Carolina Association of Register of Deeds workshop that lasts an entire day is only worth 2 credit hours. So to get 50 hours, it takes quite a bit of effort to get those 50 hours of instruction. Once certified, an assistant or deputy register of deeds must continue acquiring at least 5 educational credits annually to remain certified. And Joanna Hester rose to the challenge to become certified and to help our office move closer to our goal of every staff being certified. So I have 6 staff. I have 4 now certified. I have 2 more to go. So if you guys would help me congratulate her on becoming certified, I'd be greatly appreciated. And here is her certification.
Would you like to say a few words?
I'm okay.
Okay. I'll put people on the spot, sorry. That's okay, I understand. But
Harder to
on
do.
behalf of the commissioners, we do want to congratulate you on that achievement. Gentlemen, comments?
Mr. Chairman, again, Stephanie, for you and your staff, when you came in that office, I didn't expect you to do what you did. And you have taken on a challenge that a lot of other people that was preceding you never did. I'm very proud of the fact that these people committed, and it just behooved, I mean, when you look at our motto of all about advancing, that's what these people are doing. They're just advancing, and it makes you one of the most professional, if not the most professional, Register of Deeds office in the state of North Carolina. I don't know how we can ever thank you enough for what you do. But again, thank you.
Our pleasure.
I will say I couldn't have accomplished this without Stephanie. It's awesome to have such a great boss. So, yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. We agree. Your whole staff does an amazing job. We know, as Johnny said, I'm not going to repeat what he said, but we really appreciate all the things that you've accomplished and your dedication and hard work. And it really shows the creativity, too. It's been pretty amazing.
Have an awesome team. Thank you.
Thank you. Gentlemen, any other questions or comments?
Well done.
Thank you once again.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Gentlemen, that'll bring us to item number 4, update on broadband projects presented by Brian Epley. We've got some good news. And so, Mr. Epley?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, thanks for the opportunity. As we continue to try to draw attention to this this critical need and this goal that is statewide, but specifically here in Western North Carolina, we have a lot of rural communities that have seen the gap, this digital gap, specifically over the last 3.5 years with COVID. Really, for tonight's purposes, just wanted to again continue to illuminate the advancement of this strategic focus area on the Board of Commissioners strategic plan, specifically around community advancement. We know that during your annual priority setting retreat that the board took a very aggressive stance, a bold stance, in setting a deliverable to try to really push broadband connectivity, which is 100 gigs up and down, to all more than 90% of households in Burke County. And we have had some recent developments that we think are going to move us much further down that path. So again, I just wanted to point out, not only was that deliverable part of your strategic plan globally through this focus area of community advancement, it was one of your 5 top priorities. So this is being endorsed by the board at its most highest level. So the bigger question is, why is this so important to the Burke County Board of Commissioners? And I think that there's been a consensus understanding that this high-speed connectivity really ties our world together. That whether it's economic development or providing government services or education or commerce, it has really evolved into a critical piece of infrastructure that's evolved over time. I mean, when we talk about logistics and all the way back to the 1800s, things like the railroad, and now so much of what we do, both again from education, business, relies on that ability to interconnect with on the internet. I think that high-speed connectivity is also important to remember that it's generational. It continues to evolve. It continues to get better, and there is a spectrum. So this symmetrical speed concept is just intended to illuminate that
broadband and talking about 100 up and 100 down is very different than satellite internet that may have been available here for some time, right? There's parts of, especially in our rural communities in western North Carolina and here in Burke County, there's been models of connectivity that have been available, but those speeds really put businesses, put students, put just end users at a significant disadvantage. And we know the challenges with topography and population density have really, at times, been cost prohibitive as it relates to pulling fiber. But as we try to maintain a level of competitiveness in all of those components, I think that's why when we're asking the question of why is this such an important goal to Burke County and to the Board of Commissioners, I think that's important to keep in mind. We also, as we're looking around the corner, I think very clearly see that there's potential for municipal crisis as it relates to workforce, economic development, and again, providing even a place where people want to live, because so much of our lives are consumed on connectivity and online. And those impact the basics of our budget. Population and consumer spending and those type things are a big part of providing the resources needed to carry out all of our services across Burke County. And so what I wanted to spend a little bit of time this evening talking about is really this statewide approach that's been rolled out over the last 24 months, 36 months, and then drill down just more specifically on some recent announcements we've had in Burke County so that our citizens have not only a fundamental understanding of the initiatives that the board's pushing in your strategic plan, but more specifically where that project is from a status perspective. One thing that I think is important to point out is part of the statewide response has been advocacy. There's been a huge level of advocacy through this Connecting Counties initiative, which was the most recent initiative of the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners president and acting president, Ms. Tracy Johnson. She put together a task force. Commissioner Carswell was on that and represented Burke County across the state. But the goal of that team was to make sure that resources were connected to primarily the most economically distressed counties and rural counties in North Carolina. And I think that being in those rooms and advocating for the people like the residents of Burke County really led to what we've seen rolled out over the last 12 months. And an example of that are these North Carolina Great Grants, which are all about, again, connecting in rural Tier 1, or excuse me, Tier 2 and Tier 3 counties across North Carolina. And now that Great Grant program has been fully rolled out, it's easy to see that we're being impacted here in Burke County too. So I would point out that across North Carolina, I think there was roughly 125 grants from the North Carolina Great Grant. Is roughly $367 million of state grant flowing through only about 91 counties. So although there were 125 grants, many counties like Burke County had a competitive enough application to receive more than one. I think one county received 3. There was a handful of counties, including Burke County, that received 2. Some received none. But when you talk about a $350+ million capital investment, that serves somewhere in the 145,000 household parameters. It was something around $2,400 per household was the investment from the state. And when you again evaluate the benefit, the return on investment of that, it's a big deal. Specifically here in Burke County, we've been very fortunate. We've been awarded 2 great grants. One was through Brightspeed, which most of us know as CenturyLink. Brightspeed is a subsidiary of CenturyLink. You can see here on the left-hand side of the page, those green dots represent new households, new businesses that will be served with this Brightspeed contract. There's roughly 1,100 new passings in that grant. And then more recently, only back in July, Spectrum Charter also received a great grant that's going to serve about another 900 households. And that's primarily focused in the very northern part of our county, Jonas Ridge and Ginger Cake Acres, but also down in the Hildebrand and the southern part of Burke County as well. Altogether, you're talking about almost 2,000 new locations, $6.2 million of capital expansion in Burke County. And I would point out that Burke County is one of the few counties in North Carolina that received that level of investment from the state with no county dollars being invested. So it's $6.2 million of state and private providers. So CenturyLink and Spectrum, along with the state grant, equate to that in full 6.2. So this is really, as we talk about all about advancing in that community advancement focus area, this is moving us towards that 90% goal that makes Burke County a better place to live, a better place to do business, a better place to educate yourselves, and to be competitive in all those arenas. I think the most practical question is, where are we now and where are we going? And I think it's important to recognize that we haven't arrived. We still have some part of the execution strategy that has to be fulfilled. As I look around the corner, this CAB grant, which is completing access to broadband, it's the next flow through of state dollars. This does require a local match. The county commissioners, as part of your budget this year, set aside specifically from a federal grant from our ARPA money, $1 million to participate in the CAB program. It's a roughly 3-to-1 match. So if that total amount was needed, which we will see, right? I think part of the CAB program is transferring control from the providers, the ISOs, to local leaders. And so as we better understand their implementation and what households are covered, what are underserved versus non-served, I think we'll be able to take more of a surgical approach in administering the CAB program. So it'll take a little bit of time. Right now, currently, those providers are being vetted by the State Department of Technology, and once they meet their minimum qualifications, that's what will allow local governments to begin communicating with them about areas that we see as highest and best need. But I'm highly confident that goal of more than 90% will be achieved. I think we'll be one of the few counties, especially in Western North Carolina, that can say that, and I think that'll position us long-term to be highly competitive as a community of choice. So I'm excited about the CAB program. We expect in the next 6 months to really see that begin to move forward. I think that we should all be incredibly thankful and appreciative of the 2 grants that we have been awarded from Spectrum and Brightspeed, and the 1,838 new households that are now being served. And I would encourage people, if you wonder if you're part of those, to reach out to us, and we'll be glad to facilitate. We've built some pretty interactive tools based on 911 mapping where we can help people understand if they're included in that. And last thing I would say, Mr. Chairman, these grants have to be executed, and the infrastructure has to be developed over a 24-month period. So this is boots on the ground, grassroots now, and moving pretty quickly. And the providers that we've talked to are moving even quicker than that. So that's the deadline, but they hope to deliver more quickly. So I'll pause there with questions, but again, just wanted to update the board and publicly share where we are with this project.
Great update, Brian. Gentlemen, questions, comments? Great presentation, great update, and we know we've all been pushing hard to get this done over the last several years, so it's nice to see it culminate and actually get progress, boots on the ground. So thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to accept that report as presented.
Thank you, Commissioner Britton. All those in favor signify with uplifted hand. Madam Clerk, that is 4-0. That brings us to item number 5, Burke Recovery. Proclamation declaring September as National Recovery Month in Burke County, presented by Brandy Greer, Executive Director of Burke Recovery. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, gentlemen, for allowing me to come and speak to you for a few moments this evening. I wish I could have brought a puppy with me to make this presentation a little easier to swallow, but I think it's important that we all have this information, and I think that what we're asking for is really important for our community. So my name is Brandy Greer. I am the chair of the Burke Substance Abuse Network, which is Burke County's own substance use coalition. I also serve as the executive director for Burke Recovery, which is a local nonprofit substance use treatment facility here in Burke County. We serve both adolescents and adults at our agency, which gives us an opportunity to have a unique view on the drug problems that we're experiencing here in the county. I don't think I have to tell anybody that it's sort of a sad state of affairs that we are experiencing. Not for lack of folks in this community trying to make it better, because there is a lot of that going on, and we are super thankful for that and hope to continue to be a part of it. We have exceptionally big issue with our youth. That's something that we try to focus on. That is one of the things that we hope to be able to increase our efforts towards, especially in the coming school year as we get ready to start that. The age of first use in Burke County continues to decline, while the number of youth experimenting and using substances continues to rise, and the deadly rate of substances being found in our drug supply just continues to grow. So it's a little depressing, but there's hope on the other side. Folks do recover, we do get better, and we do have services here to help those folks do that. Fentanyl overdoses in our county have rose an astonishing 65% from 2021 to 2022, and heroin overdoses over 400% in the same year. They're likely to double again this year. We're only about 12 shy here in August than we were for the entire year last year. So I think that we can all agree that preventing and overcoming substance use disorder is an essential part to achieving a healthy lifestyle, both physically and emotionally, here with our friends and neighbors and family, and especially our youth. We must educate our relatives and friends and people who use substance use or know folks with substance use disorders so that they'll be able to implement preventative measures, recognize the signs of a problem, and guide those in need to appropriate treatment and recovery support services. It's no secret that substance use disorder is a major public health problem that impacts society on multiple levels. So today my ask is that Burke County will proclaim September as National Recovery Month. It is a small step that can produce big changes for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandy. Gentlemen, comments?
Well, Mr. Chairman, you know I publicly, and Brandy knows I can sit here and talk for a long time about this. There's no solution to this problem, as Brandy knows, and as she's given you, the numbers have risen. With all the problems we got in the world, sometimes we don't focus on those that we should. As I've sat here and told you many times before, if my son was still here to talk to you, he would say he really would have some stories for you. So I have to speak for him from the grave in the work that we're trying to do. As I said, we can't solve the problems. But what we're going to try to do is one more thing. We don't know what that one more thing is, but we're going to try it together. Don't you cry, okay? We're going to do the one more thing that we can do. And this is one more thing, a little proclamation. It doesn't mean a whole lot. It goes in a file. But we need to read that every once in a while. We need to think about the children that we've buried in Burke County. We need to think about those things that we want to set a goal for and what our hearts are heavy for. We don't want to have our children die anymore. We want our preachers to preach it. We want our teachers to teach it. That drugs are here, and if we certainly can work together to find some answer and work as hard as we can, I hope you never have to stand in front of a casket like I did and think if you could have done one more thing for your child. So let's think about that as we move forward. Let's think about the problem that's out there. Let's think about, what can I do? What can I say? What can I do to help Brandy and her group as they work every day and they sit 8 hours and 24 hours a day. Don't know how you do it. It's hard. And it's NCACC moves forward, as Brian said, the initiative last year for the association was broadband. I can assure you that my new initiative when I'm sworn in will be in the opioid arena. We're going to do everything we can to bring this to the forefront, and it'll never be eradicated, but we're going to try to get the best handle that we can on it. Brandy, I love you. I thank you for everything that you and your group does.
Thank you, Commissioner Barton. Gentlemen.
I don't know how I can add to any of those comments. I do think it'd be appropriate if Commissioner Carswell made the motion on the proclamation.
I agree.
Mr. Chairman, I did make that motion to approve proclamation number 2023-05.
Thank you, Commissioner Parsons. All those in favor signify with uplifted hand. That motion carries 4-0, Madam Clerk. Thank you. Gentlemen, that brings us to section 7, item number 1. This is scheduled public hearings. This is community development. We're going to have Alan up here for a little while. First one is zoning map amendment, ZMA 2023-03, and public hearing. Once again, this is presented by our Deputy County Manager and Planning Director, Mr. Alan Lyons. How are you, sir?
I'm well, sir. Thank you, Chairman Moley, commissioners, members of the public. We do have 4 rezoning requests tonight. They kind of cover the county from east to west and north to south. So we'll get right on it. This first request is located on Highway 64, 18 North. It's located between Heartland Road and Johns River Loop. There's a very small tract of land there that is adjacent to a commercial property. The tract is circled there. And the folks who own it would like to have that combined with the commercial tract and have that zoning changed. So the request would be to change from residential 2, R2, to general business. The future land use map, which we consider with issues like this with rezonings, recommends this area a mix of uses because it's a major thoroughfare highway in our community. So there's everything from industrial uses to general business and residential. So moving this to general business would be in keeping with the future land use map. Now we have to make an adjustment to that. We've noted that in our suggested motion. And here's some photos of the site itself. It's undeveloped right now. It's next door to that storage area. And that's the storage facility. And this is the parcel in question. The planning board reviewed this at their meeting in June, and they made a recommendation to approve with a vote of 4-0. I can answer any questions for you if you like.
Thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, I know we've had this presented to us before, but you may have some further questions. Any further questions? You too good a job there, Alan. Well, if there's no further questions, we will need to hold a public hearing on this particular issue, so I'll now open that public hearing. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak to this issue? There being none, I will close the public hearing. Gentlemen, what's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I move to adopt ordinance number 2023-10 as it relates to ZMA 2023-03, a request to rezone a .14 acre portion of PIN number 27150952555 located on NC 18 US 64 from the residential to R2 district to the general business district GB. Further, the board finds the zoning to currently be inconsistent with the Blueprint Burke plan, but that conditions for the subject parcel have changed with new owners of a neighboring business who seek to expand this parcel. Furthermore, the board finds the rezoning to be reasonable and in the public interest of Burke County for the following reasons. The .14 acre parcel is vacant and can be combined with the larger neighboring commercial parcel to allow commercial expansion along NC 18 US 64 highway. 2, the Blueprint Burke plan recommends commercial expansion at suitable locations where there is demand for commercial activity.
Thank you, Vice Chair Britton. Gentlemen, you've heard the motion. All those in favor signify with uplifted hand. Madam Clerk, that motion carried 4-0. Gentlemen, that'll bring us under scheduled public hearings. Item number 2, zoning map amendment ZMA 2023-04 in public hearing. Alan?
Thank you. This request is located at US 70 and Dysertsville Road in the western area of the county. This is a corner tract. It's about 1.5 acres. The request is to rezone a portion of this larger piece from general business to residential 2, R2, just kind of reverse of what we had. This is the site of the former Cherokee Marine Service. Many of you are familiar with that property on the corner. It operated many years. This is showing the portion of the larger tract to be rezoned to residential 2 out of the larger tract. It's sitting on the corner, and it's surrounded to the south and east with that residential area, zoning area, so it's kind of a good fit. As I said, we always consider the future land use map. We have a mix of uses in this area because it is a highway location. And so the approach to 70 along Dysertsville Road is residentially zoned, and this would be a good match to that, and it's suitable for that area. And this is part of that portion. It's kind of the rear portion of that commercial. Most of that other, those other structures were for the business, and a business will continue there. I don't know exactly what will happen there, but it is, suitable for commercial use. So this would be the rear portion. This is some of that access getting into that property, and that's looking down Dysertsville Road back to the highway. The planning board did review this at their June meeting, and they recommended with a vote of 4-0 to recommend approval of the rezoning request. I can answer any questions if you have any.
Thank you, Alan. Gentlemen, any further questions on this? There being none, I will now open the public hearing. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak to this issue? There being none, I'll close the public hearing. Gentlemen, what's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I move to adopt ordinance number 23-11 as it relates to ZMA 2023-04, a request to rezone a 0.58 acre portion of PIN number 17526180111 located on 2425 US 70 and Dysertsville Road in Morganton from General Business District GB to the Residential 2 District R2. Further, the board finds that the rezoning to currently to be inconsistent with the Blueprint Burke plan, noting that the conditions have changed with the recent purchase by a new owner who wishes to retain the front corner of the portion of the commercial use and the rear portion for residential use. Furthermore, the board finds the rezoning to be reasonable and in the public interest of Burke County for the following reasons. One, changing the zoning to residential would allow single-family residential or manufactured home use which are needed throughout the county and compatible with the surrounding area. Two, the Blueprint Burke plan recommends areas for residential infill to be developed at locations where there is sufficient infrastructure to support the use.
Thank you, Commissioner Burns. All those in favor of the motion signify with uplifted hand. Madam Clerk, motion carries 4-0. Gentlemen, this will bring us to item number 3. This will be presented by Alan Glines again. This is zoning map amendment ZMA 2023-05 and public hearing.
Thank you again. We have another one here. This one's located not that far from the prior one, but this is going to be at Jamestown Road and Jamestown Road at Cathy Road. This is on the south side of the highway. Interestingly enough, there's a mix of uses in here, mostly residential close to Cathy Road at Jamestown Road. However, the current zoning for that area is a mix of residential and industrial uses. So just thinking back, imagining what might have happened in the past is when the interchange location was placed there, many people thought that there would be a need for a lot more industrial zone property there, but a lot of this has been used residentially all these years. So what we have is a 4-acre piece access from a house. Let's see if I can get this thing to work. There we go. Right about here, there's a home and you passed the driveway of the home to reach the rear portion. The owner of that would like to use that for a residential purpose, and so she's requesting that be changed from industrial, which is current zoning, to a residential 3, R3, so she can do that at a residential unit there. Now, this is a map showing our future land use map, which we consider in our comprehensive planning. And this is a kind of a matchup to the current zoning, but you can see the area has a mix of residential uses and industrial imagined and anticipated for this area. So this would be compatible with changing that to a residential use for this site. In fact, the 4 acres would be a challenge to use for an industrial purpose because the access is so limited through a residential lot. And this is sort of the current character of the area. It's pretty much undeveloped, and it's kind of the backyard for the house fronting on Jamestown Road. And that's where we're going to come through. The planning board did review this request at their meeting in June, and they recommended to support the request with a vote of 4-0. I'm able to answer any questions for you if you have any.
Thank you, Alan. Gentlemen, any further questions?
Mr. Chairman, I did have one quick question. The purple area that's shown at the tip of the triangle there, is that right-of-way access to that should something change in the future?
Yeah, that one is another basically unused, undeveloped parcel, but zoned industrially, but it doesn't go with that 4-acre tract. So it's not for, Ms. Sanchez does not own that.
So what we're talking about is landlocked.
It's landlocked, right, through Mrs. Sanchez property.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? There being none, I will now open a public hearing on this issue. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak on this issue? There being none, I will close the public hearing. Madam Clerk. Gentlemen, what's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve adoption of ordinance number 2023-12 as it relates to ZMA 2023-05, a request to rezone a 4-acre parcel of land corresponding to PIN number 17615852287 located on Jamestown Road from the industrial zoning district to the residential 3 district. Further, our board finds that the rezoning to be currently being consistent with the Blueprint Burke Plan, noting that the conditions have changed with the recent purchase by a new owner seeking residential expansion. Further, our board finds that the rezoning to be reasonable in the public interest of Burke County for the following reasons. Number one, as an industrial site, the parcel has limited access through a row of residential parcels and is only marginally suitable for industrial use. Number two, currently the property is vacant, and rezoning this land will allow the residential infill, which is supported by the Blueprint Burke Plan.
Thank you, Commissioner Carswell. All those in favor of the motion signify with uplifted hand. Madam Clerk, that motion carries 4-0. Brings us up to item number 4. This will be presented by Alan Glines again, zoning map amendment ZMA 2023-06 in public hearing.
Thank you very much. This rezoning request is located in East Burke. It's just off of Cape Hickory Road along Liberty Church Road. It's a rear portion of a tract of land that has at one time was all together and had frontage along Liberty Church Road. This was the location for 72 Degrees, which was an HVAC organization, a company that was operating for many years. Business closed down. The owner sold off property. This is a new tract. So the tract is 5.1 acres, and the request is to take it from general business, which is the current zoning, to match the surrounding residential area, or residential 3. And that will allow residential infill to happen there. The future land use map follows closely with the existing zoning, but obviously we have a lot of area in there for a residential, so this would be a good matchup and a good fit. This is the site, a portion of it anyway, the front part. The planning board reviewed this at their June meeting, and they recommended in favor of the rezoning request with a vote of 4-0.
Alan, thank you, sir. Gentlemen, any questions on this one? There being none, I'll open the public hearing on this particular issue. Anyone here that wishes to speak to this? There being none, I will close the public hearing, Madam Clerk. Gentlemen, what's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I move to adopt ordinance number 2023-10 as it relates to ZMA 2023-06, a request to rezone a 5.41 acre parcel of land corresponding to PIN number 27831695530, located off Liberty Church Road from the general business district to the residential 3 district. Further, the board finds the rezoning to currently be inconsistent with the Blueprint Burke plan, but those conditions have changed with the recent purchase by a new owner who is seeking residential infill. Furthermore, the board finds the rezoning request to be reasonable and in the public interest of Burke County for the following reasons. The surrounding area is a mixture of land uses, including residential 3, and the Blueprint Burke plan supports residential development. And rezoning the parcel would allow more compatible zoning and uses which are in harmony with most other surrounding properties.
Thank you, Vice Chair Britton. Gentlemen, all those in favor of this?
We updated that resolution, that ordinance number today. It's 2023-13.
Okay. Thank you, Kate. Gentlemen, all those in favor signify with uplifted hand. Madam Clerk, that carries 4-0. Thanks for the clarification. Thank you, Alan. Great job as usual. Gentlemen, that'll bring us to section number 8 on our agenda, informal public comments. I'll open the floor for informal public comments at this point. I'll remind each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. Please sign in with the clerk at the meeting or pre-register by emailing the clerk prior to the meeting. So, Madam Clerk, do we have anybody here that wishes to speak?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I have 2 speakers that pre-registered. Carla Kincaid.
Good evening. I'm back again. And this time, Carla Kincaid, and of course I'm resident here of Burke County, lived here all my life. And at this time I just wanted to just to bring the question in reference to a lot of the taxes that have been paid in reference to statues just about everywhere. Millions of dollars have been spent in taxes in the past to erect as well as to maintain. And the issue that I was coming forward to you with this evening is how much have we spent in the years past, even back when Reconstruction, to maintain and to have the statue on our courthouse square, and how much are we being taxed now to continue to keep such a symbol up that now that we all know, of course, as a young person, and I'm sure my mother and father probably didn't know it was a Confederate statue and what it stood for, but the people who erected it did. And I think Daughters of Confederacy, I think we've already went through that in other sessions that we've had here, how they actually were the ones who began that, and then they had to stop because they didn't have the money to continue. I'm just curious about how much we are continuing to display such a public symbol that now we know what it is, we know what it stands for. It wasn't the lost cause is what they call it. But how much are we being taxed to continue to have such a symbol on our courthouse square, a public square? I know we have the historical festival, we're having other things that come to our county. We're not even talking about the flags. we're talking about what sits on our courthouse square in the county seat of Morganton, North Carolina. That's what I'm wanting to know, and I definitely don't want tax dollars going towards something that my ancestors, had to bear causes for. And so that's what I'm asking. I'm not asking, I'm just bringing that up for something for you to think about, that you got citizens now in the open, and I know millions of dollars has been spent other places. I've did other places, and millions of dollars are continuing to be spent. And I don't know what's being spent here on such a symbol to be displayed on our courthouse square.
Thank you, Carl. Madam Clerk?
Pastor George Logan.
Good evening. On behalf of the Burke County Coalition for Reconciliation, I want to share a little bit about our last meeting, which actually is the meeting prior to coming here, which we have every third Tuesday. This particular evening, we had Mary Charlotte Safford come and share with us about the Reconstruction Amendments, and we were grateful to you all for allowing us to use the framework of the Civil Rights Amendments. And we discussed briefly the Amendment 13, 14, and 15, the abolishment of slavery, the equal protection under the law, 14, and the right to vote for enslaved people, formerly enslaved people. And that was an attempt, we understand, by our government to address some of the ills of our society, the original sin, some would say, of slavery in our country. We talked about Reconstruction, it being from 1865 until 1877, and it was a good experiment and actually worked and actually put former slaves into positions like what you all are in right now. However, as soon as the federal soldiers left, it created a bit of chaos in the South. And so a lot of those desires for Reconstruction left, and it left us with some really major problems. And the way those problems, or way the fear of, I guess, blacks in the South, the way it was addressed was through myths, through lies, through violence, to continue to suppress blacks. And so when we look at the Confederate monument and the statue, it's for many it's a representation of something that took place in the past. And we realize that the state statue, and we realize that you all are unable to do anything about that. But we do desire that in your private conversations, maybe with people that we may not have the ability to touch and contact, that conversation go on at the state level. And to know that there are people in our community that continue to talk about the issue of the statue and the monument, and desire for it to be removed. And I love the term, and I think it's always advancing. Is that the correct terminology? Well, I think that fits right into it. I think one day I believe that part of that whole thinking and the thought of always advancing will include the removal of that Confederate monument. I believe that we'll all be a wholesome community. Whether there's one black in the community or it's a lot of blacks, it's really a human right issue more than it is about blacks or whites or anyone else. I think we're all the better when we really think about everyone in the community. And I appreciate your time and appreciate what you all do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pastor.
Unless I missed something, that's all I have.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. At this time, I'll close the public comments. We'll move on to Section 9, Consent Agenda. This will be presented by our County Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Several items for consideration this evening. Our first two are both from administered through the clerk. Item 1 is to approve Daniel Odom as a plat review officer for the town of Rutherford College. Item 2 is to consider the reappointment the county has 3 appointments to the Drexel Planning Board, ETJ, and we were recommending to add Scott Dula, remove Wayne Wisnut, who passed away in 2022. Item 3 is, as the board is aware, back in early July, the board received a letter requesting some additional flexibility in the utilization of space from the Burke County History Museum. We have reached out and worked with that leadership team and their board and are asking for the commissioners to authorize both the manager and the attorney to work with them in redeeding that property back to the county and then simultaneously entering into a long-term lease that we believe will provide the needed flexibility that board is requesting. Item 4 is request to approve a contract with Buckeye Bridge LLC in the amount of $148,470 for a water Avenue water line replacement project through our General Services Department. The board's very familiar with that. I've been working on it for several years. All of that is coming through some state grant money for clean water, and we've completed the bid process and are ready to award that contract. The remaining items are all your monthly tax, or from the tax department. Items 5 and 6 are annual orders that the board considers each year. Item 5 is an annual settlement report, which is essentially a summary of the collections for 22-23. That's included in your packet for review and consideration. Item 6 is the annual order to collect that's required by statute for our tax administrator to administer and collect taxes for our current fiscal year. Also included that is unpaid taxes through this point. Item 7 is your monthly collection report for July 2023, currently at 24.86% through July. And item 8, also from the tax department, is your monthly release and refund report. So that is in your packet for review as well. Mr. Chairman, that concludes your consent. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Epping. What is the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you, Commissioner Burns. All those in favor signify with uplifted hand. Madam Clerk, that carries 4-0. That brings us to section 10. We've got several items for decision this evening. Gentlemen, we'll begin with number 1, MOU for partnership with Hickory to construct a new airplane hangar at the Hickory Regional Airport. This will be presented by, once again, our good friend Alan Glines. We're keeping him busy tonight.
Glad to be here. Thank you very much. Bringing to you the Hickory Regional Airport Partnership. This staff is working on an MOU with the Hickory Regional Airport, City of Hickory, and this aligns with the Commissioner's strategic planning strategies and priorities. We believe focus area number 2 is the most direct match. It's economic growth and sustainability to promote Burke County as a business and economic center in the region, and through the recruitment of new industry, creating healthy business climate for existing businesses. So this is not the first time that the commissioners have entered into an MOU for this area. This is actually the second one. So the first one was in 2021. Burke County and the City of Hickory went into a joint economic development expansion project for a new airplane hangar. And to remind everyone, that project was a 12,000 square foot new hangar, and it was focused to attract aircraft in excess of $1 million. The City of Hickory did all the planning work and construction documentation, construction management, and oversaw the project. And the county, we agreed to reimburse 50% of that expense. And the city's investment was through revenue sharing agreement equal to 50% of net new investment over that period of time. So we're excited to see how that worked out, and we have more information to share with you all. So in that prior project, we did some comparison to prior years. And if you look at years 2018 through 2022, we were hovering around 9 or so aircraft that were of a value greater than $1 million. But with the completion of the new hangar and the word getting out and marketing that into to the public, we now have at least 18 planes that have an excess value of $1 million this year. And that airplane value you can see on the lower slide, this lower chart, the growth in value of aircraft is now exceeds on average over $1 million, 1.3 million. And with future growth and additional hangars, we are expecting additional growth there. And so we would estimate that noting that the annual tax revenue has increased over the years. Starting in 2023, it was over $700,000 to Burke County. And so very, very feasible to expect that to exceed over $1 million in the coming years. The project cost for this new investment would be $1.8 million. And the county portion of that, 50%, would be $900,000. We expect to be able to pay that back over about 2.5 years, and then at each year subsequent to that, we'll have over $1 million in net revenue. So that's a good position to be in. Not everyone has been to the airport or knows everything about it, so we're all learning a little more. This is showing the Burke County line here. And so most of the airport is actually in Burke County. There's a smaller portion that's in Catawba County, City of Hickory, this portion here. The total acreage is about 450 acres. The majority of that space, as I said, is in Burke County. The runway at the top of the photo, this was at once a shorter runway, but they've converted that to now be a taxiway. And so that is where some of this growth and a future investment can happen. And then this is shared with us from the City of Hickory. This is their sort of master plan documentation. The hangar that was completed in 2021 is located here. That's the 12,000 square foot facility. And then the new proposal is for an 18,000 square foot hangar that would house 12 aircraft. That's called a T hangar because of its shape. And future growth, up and down the taxiway over time. And then a little more detail, you can kind of get an image there of the T hangars. They kind of fit together like a puzzle. 18,000 square feet for 12 planes. But if you've driven into the airport property, this is the airport terminal here, and this is the FBO for the airport itself. In the future, we can expect more hangars and other facilities at the site. But this is the one that was just completed in 2021. There's a fine photo of the ribbon cutting happening then, and two of the larger aircraft. But upon inspection just a few weeks ago, there's at least 6 to 7 airplanes in there right now. So there's a need and a demand for more hangars. And this is the current proposal. The design itself is a one large structure, one building, but it has the kind of the T formation. This is an elevation. It shows that the planes back in tail first into the space, and they kind of face out when the doors open. And it's a very efficient design. Each spot is about 1,300 square feet. And finally, there's other improvements planned for the airport. There's a goal on the western side to add another 400 feet to make that runway 7,000 linear feet, and this will attract commercial flights is the goal or hope in the future. On the eastern end, there's a rumble zone to be added, and this is for anybody who overshoots the runway. They'll have a safety spot to land. And once again, this is some of the various hangar sites that can come in the future. We hope to see them, but some larger facilities are proposed, as well as other T hangar facilities. There's expectation of demand, and I don't have that number, but I believe it was over 40 folks are kind of on a waiting list. 70, so even better. So we expect to have more hangars in the future, and we'll bring those back to you for your review and consideration as time goes on. But if I can answer any questions for you, I'm happy to do so.
Alan, great presentation, and I'm glad you made clarity on where that airport sits, but we have a great working relationship with our friends at the city of Hickory, and we enjoy these projects together. Low-hanging fruit when it comes to property taxes, as we all know. And so at this time, gentlemen, I'll open the floor for any questions, comments.
I don't have a question, Mr. Chairman. I do have a comment. I think it's imperative for us to step back and take a look at how this evolved. A few years back when I was the chairman and Hank Guest was mayor, we sat down at the table and talked about what the future of the Hickory Airport would be. I've spoken to the managers of the Hickory Airport down there. We had to have some vision about what's happening in Catawba and Burke County. I'm not quite sure that we really realize how big we're going to grow. And so I think that airport has to be there to grow with that. I think what we need to also is pay close attention to. Project cost is only $1.8 million, and we pay 50% of it. But in less than 2.3 years, we get the money back on taxes. But the key thing is that in the next 5 years, we gross over $1 million a year. That's free money, guys. You know, $5 million in 5 years. And who knows, with these managers at the airport down there working, we're probably going to grow that airport even more. And I know that there's been some questions in the past about some people fussing about parking their planes there. You know, I really don't care. Keep doing the job that we're doing down there. We keep building these hangars and we keep parking these airplanes. You're talking about solid dollars for this county. And I don't know that the citizens of this county can ask us to do any more than take this project, even though you're paying 50% of it. To me, that's just prudent business to do this. And you got to trust a partner every once in a while. I trust it.
Well said, Commissioner Carswell. They don't use, planes don't have to utilize county services, as you stated. So, once again, low-hanging fruit. Gentlemen, any other questions or comments? If not, what's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the 2023 Memorandum of Understanding between Burke County and the City of Hickory for airport hangar construction, and hereby direct the County Commission Chairman to execute agreement on behalf of the board.
Thank you, Vice Chair President. All those in favor signify with uplifted hand. Madam Clerk, that carries 4-0. That brings us to item number 2 for, under items for decision. Ordinance to allow the sale of alcoholic beverages before noon on Sundays at licensed premises. This is a second reading. This is presented once again by Alan Glines.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At the July meeting, the following ordinance for alcoholic beverages before noon on Sundays was read, and this would be for licensed premises in the unincorporated areas of Burke County. This was considered and adopted by a majority vote of the board members present. Since that vote was not unanimous and one board member was absent from the meeting, a second reading is required. I can answer any questions for you if you have any.
Gentlemen, questions for Alan? There being none, what's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to adopt ordinance number 2023-09-02.
Thank you, Commissioner Burns. All those in favor signify with the uplifted hand. Those against, like sign. Motion carries 3-1. Madam Clerk. Gentlemen, that'll bring us to item number 3 under items for decision. Selection of architect for new animal shelter and EMS station. This will be presented by our county manager, Mr. Epley.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. I'm encouraged by just the volume of positive, as Commissioner Carswell said earlier, all about advancing items on our agenda tonight. And I think this is a good continuation of many of the positive things that we've talked about this evening. I'm here tonight to give you an update on the process that we have been maneuvering through for the construction and evaluation of a new EMS headquarters. Base 1 replacement, which we all know is currently sitting on property that the county doesn't own, as well as the building being beyond its useful life. EMS Base 1 is sitting behind the hospital in the conclusion of a 50-year lease has expired. And so back in March, the April timeframe, we were able to acquire a very strategic piece of property over on Drexel Road that we think will be well suited for a headquarters long term, really for Burke County moving forward. Simultaneously, following a 2020 facility master plan done by Mosley Architects, the board had been evaluating what's next for animal services. As you're all aware, that building is served the county and the city well for a long time. But it's a constricted space that doesn't necessarily meet the operational needs, and it's something that has, again, I think conclusively been included in part of our CIP plan that was approved back in April. So I wanted to do a couple things. One, just highlight those projects, talk about our procurement model, our timeline, and then follow up with questions. Here's just some of the highlights out of that capital improvement plan, again, that the board unanimously approved back in April. Tonight we're updating for this animal services building and this EMS Phase 1, although many of these have already began, and we'll give more comprehensive update later. As we talk about procurement, lots of models in North Carolina that are appropriate, and I think each project, depending on sophistication, size, cost, type of construction, has to be evaluated independently. For these two projects, we think that they generally, even though they're very different in the type of use, the construction methodology is fairly similar, and we've selected this single prime bidding, which most of us know as low hard bid, right? And so step one would be to select design and engineering team, award that contract, and then you move into site prep, construction packages, and ultimately execution. Step one is where we are tonight. So we did issue an RFQ some time ago, outlining what we think will be the basic parameters and the basic timeline and schedule for these two projects to begin going vertical. One of the unique characteristics that we included in that RFQ is we wanted to partner with the design team that would help us take advantage of what we saw as economies of scale. And what that means is, again, even though these uses are very different, practicality and the construction type share a lot of similarities, and the sites being as close as they are, we saw the opportunity to mobilize one contractor, take advantage of ordering construction material like HVAC, mechanical, roofing, structural steel at one time, and we wanted to make sure that we were positioned to bid the project in a pretty unique way where contractors, once we get to that point in the spring of 2024, could bid on one project, they can bid on the other project, meaning just EMS based, just animal services, or if they have the capacity, they may bid on both. And we think that that will really leverage our purchasing power and allow us to have a significant amount of savings in the total outcome. And I would point out that I think we've already seen that in the design development phase too. So we're here tonight and to consider awarding this design RFQ. Again, we believe that we'll be ready to begin construction bids in the spring and moving towards substantial completion in 2025. We did post that RFQ for about a 30-day period, and I was very pleased with the response. We had 7 firms that recognized being a partner with Burke County is a good thing, and they followed the logic of what we were trying to set in motion. We narrowed that down to 3 based on previous experience and the qualifications set forth, and then put together a team that included subject matter experts from both animal services, with Caitlin, and from EMS with Robbie and Jason. We included our facility maintenance teams. That's something that I really believe in. The people who are going to work on the building likely should be involved in the decision of how it's going to be built. And we have a lot of trust and respect for those teams. We included our finance team, our planning team, and really tried to leverage what I think is collective IQ in developing the best product. We had a quantitative scoring model that each of the 3 architectural firms that were interviewed were independently evaluated against. And I'm here tonight to make a recommendation for Holland and Hammer Architecture to be the awarded contract. I would point out that both Greg Melton and Patrick McMurray from Holland and Hammer are here with us tonight. Happy to answer any questions, I'm sure. But I'm very pleased to be at this point in the project, Mr. Chairman, and happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Thank you, Mr. Epley. Gentlemen, we're all excited about getting these projects underway, so any questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman, I do have some comments. Being familiar with Holland and Hamrick, they do good work. I'm not going to sit here and brag on them. They don't need that. But here's the thing about it. I've seen the work. I know what they do. Here's the thing I like about it. They listen to you, and they're going to work with you. And if we ask for something, they're going to deliver. So, Mr. Chairman, if it's okay, it's with great pleasure that I make a motion to approve contracts with Holland and Hamrick Architect PA for design development services for a new EMS base and animal shelter, and authorize the county manager to execute contracts on behalf of this board, subject to review and/or revision by the county attorney.
Thank you, Commissioner Parsons. All those in favor signify with uplifted hand. Madam Clerk, that motion carries 4-0. Absolutely. I know you're happy. We've been talking about this for many years. Okay, that'll bring us to item number 4 under this section, approval of agreements for new ambulances. Mr. Epp.
To continue the conversation about EMS, not only is base location something that we are exploring and evaluating, proximity to service demand and those type of things, but inside of the Board of Commissioners strategic plan, we also have an emphasis on improving performance metrics for all of our emergency response departments, including specifically EMS. And one of the ways that one of the reasons we want to do that is that we know over time we have an aging community. The way medicine is delivered and the elevation of care has certainly evolved, specifically through COVID and post-COVID. And so we've seen a continued but incremental increase in service demand over time. And when you have more calls and more out-of-community transports, that's had a less than ideal impact on our average response time. I would also point out when you're using your apparatus more and you're taking them on further trips, you're adding mileage, and there's an inverse relationship between performance, reliability, and usage. And so over time, our personnel, our fleet deployment, and the condition of our fleet has not kept up with the demand. And so we're looking for ways to change that and to begin to systematically reduce that emergency response time to be industry leading. Part of that is replacing the fleet. Part of that is keeping a reliable unit of apparatus that is going to be deployed in a consistent way every day. That's one of the things that Mr. Black and I are well aware of so far this year through July 1st, roughly 180 days. Almost 60 times we've struggled to deploy a full fleet of ambulances because of mechanical deficiencies. And when you look at the status of our fleet, many of our units are high mileage and several years old. And part of that challenge of fleet replacement is cost. Simply when we look at the cost of an ambulance, it continues to increase. And I like to say, and I know many board members point out that whether you're Wake County, Mecklenburg County, or Burke County, the cost of an ambulance is fixed. They don't give you a discount because you have a smaller population or a smaller budget. And over time, we've had a lot of volatility in what we've been able to afford, given all the other competing interests across county government, to invest into fleet repair. And you can see some years as high as $498, other years, and this is a combination of used equipment, remount equipment, which is where you buy a new chassis, new powertrain, but you take an existing medical box and you put that on that unit to help reduce those costs. But again, haven't been able to keep up with that increase in demand. And so what we're here to talk about tonight is transitioning from a purchase model fleet replacement, where we're able to buy 1 or 2 a year, depending on the affordability metric, and we're trying to really enhance and advance fleet replacement by transitioning to a lease model where we get 5 brand new units and moving to a 550, a little heavier chassis moving forward. And here what we try to outline is, even though we're going to get, the blue bar represents the total number of new units, and you can see that at 5, our total outlay from an affordability lens, again, is pretty consistent with the prior years. And I would say also in the framework of budget management, we know over the next 5 years that our cash outflow for emergency services apparatus is going to be fixed at roughly $405,000. It gives us a level of predictability, and it also significantly improves the quality and the age of our equipment. Here, if you look at all of our ambulance fleet and age over time, 2021, 2022, and now moving in, and 23 moving into 24, the average mileage and the average age of an ambulance in Burke County is going to be significantly improved. So in summary, again, we're talking about transitioning from a purchase to a lease strategy. We think that we're going to be able to capitalize on this flat annual capital outlay, which expedites fleet enhancement. In order to accomplish that, we're asking the board to consider a purchase agreement with Fraser Incorporated, who would be the manufacturer of the ambulances. Those boxes would be mounted on Ford F-550 chassis. That requires a 60-month lease. TD Bank, we have competitively shopped that around and landed at a very advantageous rate of 4.33%, and we have fixed annual cash flow outflow of $405,111 over the next 5 years. And that is the recommendation before the Board of Commissioners. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Epley. Gentlemen, questions, comments? There being none, what's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the purchase agreement between Fraser Incorporated and Burke County Emergency Services as presented, and authorize the chairman to execute the agreement on behalf of the board, subject to review and/or revision by the county attorney. To approve the installment purchase agreement between TD Equipment Finance Incorporated and Burke County. Adopt resolution number 2023-15, purchaser resolution, and authorize the chairman to execute the agreement on behalf of the board, subject to review and/or revision by the county attorney. To approve the escrow agreement between TD Bank, N.A. and TD Equipment Finance Incorporated and Burke County, and authorize the chairman to execute the agreement on behalf of the board, subject to review and/or revision by the county attorney. To authorize the chairman and/or county manager to execute any related documents necessary to complete the transaction.
Thank you, Vice Chair Britton. Gentlemen, all those in favor signify with uplifted hand. That motion carries 4-0, Madam Clerk. That brings us finally to section 11, reports and comments. And I will now open the floor to receive reports and comments, and we'll start with Margaret.
Thank you, Chairman and Commissioners. We are working diligently on year end and focusing on new budget items at the same time, working through all of those, and excited to welcome the new members to the team in the last couple of weeks for the budget office. I think they're going to be a great asset for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret. JR?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've received and reviewed several notices of appeal to the North Carolina Tax Commission from Burke County real property owners, and I'm working with the tax office concerning hearings on these appeals. I've worked with the county manager and our bankruptcy and secured transactions special counsel concerning construction contract with county and failure to pay subcontractors and subsequent filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy and the possible ways forward for the county. I've worked with BDI, and we have completed all changes to BDI's option agreement concerning tracts of property for development. I've worked with the county manager to come up with ideas to rearrange the county's real estate relationship with a 501c3 organization in the county, which you as a board have approved tonight. I've worked with the vice chair and the county manager to revamp and clarify the proposed memorandum of understanding with the city of Hickory concerning the aircraft hangars at the city of Hickory Regional Airport that was presented and approved tonight. And I worked with the county finance director and the county manager on the ambulance agreements, reviewing them and preparing a draft opinion letter for the closing of this transaction. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk?
No comments tonight, thank you.
County manager.
Be brief. I'll just acknowledge and point out how how pleased I am and how thankful I am for the support of the board and the support of our team. I think we're really hitting our stride in our operational plan, and I'm thankful for that.
Thank you. Mr. Burns?
No comments tonight, Mr. Chair.
Vice Chair Britton?
Nothing more than looking forward to attending our North Carolina Association County Commission annual meeting next week and seeing our own Commissioner Carnesville installed as president.
And soon to be president of the NCACC as of next week, Commissioner Carswell.
Thank you, all my colleagues sitting up here with me. I want to take just a moment tonight to recognize the fact that we had a lot of people step up here tonight and report things that are happening in their departments and people moving forward, because it is all about advancing. You just don't know how proud I am sitting here tonight along with you guys and to see what we've done in this county. You know, 11 years ago when we came on, I don't think we recognized where we would be at today. You look up here and see all of these numbers. You look back there, you see all of those new faces and old faces that got promoted up. And it's just overwhelming to be in the position that we're in. You know, I thank the people of this county for allowing us to sit up here and do what we do. Mr. County Manager, I am so proud of you. I just burst with joy when I see you stand up there and you're about vision. You're about what it is that we want to do. And we tell you and we throw it at your desk and you just take it and you do your magical thing with it, and you talk to us and then we put it together, the whole puzzle. We take this big puzzle and we put it together and we make Burke County a better place to live, work, and play. We make it better for the employees. We're going to continue to make it better for the employees. We've got a new numbers cruncher back there. We're going to let him crunch numbers until he finds us whatever it is, again, that we're looking for back there. And a new little secretary sitting over there for you and others that we've got. But I just want you to know how proud we are. Even you, Scalise. I love you to death. And don't forget, we've got a 10 o'clock meeting tomorrow. So it's just been a good week for me. It's a good week when you get a new great-grandbaby and you get to do everything that we've done. On Facebook, if you want to go watch and see what we've done. And but I'm just proud to be here doing what we're doing. And what an honor when I go to Raleigh and do something that's never been done in Burke County before. I'm going to be sworn in as the association president. Never happened in Burke County. It's not happened to too many people in Western North Carolina. And I look back about 5 years ago when representatives from 99 counties elected me as their second vice president, and then they elected me again as their first vice president. Then they elected me again as their president-elect, position I'm holding today. What an honor. How humbling it is to sit in that chair down there and then get sworn in and know what your presidential initiative is going to be for the next coming year, trying to help not just Burke County, but 99 other counties. I want to do what I can, obviously, for us here. I want to do it for the 99 other counties. And it's like I say, it's overwhelming for an old man when he gets there. You finally can say you probably going to, you can do something. And people will recognize the fact that people here in Burke County are great, great people, and they know what they're doing. So, gentlemen, I love all of you. Thank you for allowing me to sit here and run my mouth a little bit tonight, but let's keep on doing what we're doing.
Who was on Jumbotron last night?
Jumbotron at Atlanta Braves Stadium. You'll see my son-in-law with our 28-year-old baby, and he's swinging her like this, and they get a good picture on the truest Jumbotron of him with that baby. It's on Facebook, so go take a look at it. You just don't know how proud we are.
That's a lot of cool stuff, Johnny. And we're so proud of you. I can tell you, each and every one of us, we're all very close to you, and we're like family. I told County Manager Epley when he came up here, we're like family. We want our employees to feel like you're part of the family, and I believe they do. And as Johnny said, we're doing amazing things. We're running at warp speed, which I like. Some of these things have been on the back burner. Kate shaking her head yes on some of them. And so it's good to get these things done. I do want to just tell you how proud I am of you, Johnny, and I think you had one more thing to say.
I want to tell you how proud I am of Kay, because I can't remember. Kay got recognized by some organization. What's the name of it, Kay?
It's the International Institute of Municipal Clerks.
I could say that again if I wanted to, but they recognized Kay with an award and her accomplishments over the years. Like she's the #1 clerk in the world, after they got through with their thing. But I forgot that, Mr. Chairman. I want to make sure that we recognize Kay for that accomplishment that she had. We love you too.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I would just point out it was for a circle of excellence. So it is a pretty big deal. We're very proud of it.
To make us look good, you deserve it. So, absolutely. So, gentlemen, thank you for your comments. Once again, Commissioner Carswell, we're looking forward to every one of us is going to be down there to watch you the swearing in. So, no pressure. And it's good to know people in high places so we can ask a few favors, maybe. So, just saying. So, gentlemen, at this point, some courtesy reminders. August 18th, this Friday, our good friend Pastor Bridges is going to give the invocation, listen to the invocation, and then once again, we need to keep him on retainer. Groundbreaking for the East Burke Waste and Recycling Convenience Center for 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. That is at 2350 US 70 in Conley Springs. As we mentioned, August 24th through 26th, the NCACC Annual Conference in Wake County. Johnny and I will be down there a couple extra days for that. August 26th, Commissioner Carswell will be inducted, as we said, as president of the NCACC. September 4th, county offices will be closed for Labor Day. Well-deserved day off, folks. September 5th, Board of Commissioners pre-agenda meeting at 3 p.m. September 14th, free annual community shred event at Burke County Register of Deeds. Once again, a great event. The Register of Deeds are so creative. And that's from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. I would remind everyone, once again, to spay and neuter your pets. Foster or adopt one of these great dogs or cats from Burke County Animal Services. And as we always preach, cover your loads to the convenience centers and landfill, and don't litter. And if you see trash, please pick it up. Gary's the best in the world at it. You can give some tips. And at this point, Madam Clerk, I will turn it over to you for vacancy announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, members of the audience. We have the following opportunities for citizens to be involved in county boards and committees: the Adult Care and Nursing Home Community Advisory Committee, City of Morganton Board of Adjustment and Planning Board for the ETJs, Burke Senior Center Advisory Council, East Burke Senior Center Advisory Board, Council on Aging, Burke County Board of Health, Hickory Regional Planning Commission, Drexel Planning Board ETJ alternate. And that's it.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And as we always say, every meeting, people want to know how they can become involved. Well, there are many opportunities. You'll get in touch with Kay. Our clerk will put you to work diligently and quickly. So please reach out to us to become involved in those opportunities. At this point, gentlemen, we do not have a need for a closed session. I know you're all disappointed. And so that means I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman, guess what? I move that we adjourn.
Thank you, Commissioner Burns. All those in favor signify with the uplifted hand. And that is 4-0, Madam Clerk. Thanks again for everyone in attendance tonight.